Well, here she is. They love her. And how good is she? Oh, dear. I get tired of praising her. No, I don't. Peter, good evening to you.
Hello, handsome. Look at you and your pistachio. You are just a stunner. I feel like the peahen and you're the peacock. There we go.
Smashed avocado. Have you got a view about this vaping?
Well, I think what's really interesting, we're having a whole debate about all the tax dollars that go into the government's coffers from smoking, whether it's vaping or whether it's, regular cigarettes, and all this extra energy that the health minister is putting into stopping vaping. When about 2 kilometres down the road from me, whilst Melbourne is in lockdown, you can go and shoot up, you can use ice, you can take your heroin in, all the dealers are out because illegal drugs are okay in the vicinity of a shooting gallery. We're all upside down here. We can't have vaping, but there's this constant push to have all these illegal drugs legalised and the legal stuff illegalised.
Good on you. Now, listen, don't fall off your chair. I'll say it slowly. For the first time in goodness knows how long, I might have to agree with Malcolm Turnbull.
Obviously you need re-engineering of the brain, but come on, tell me why.
Well, he's made this point today that a gas-led energy policy is really ridiculous, and I have to say I agree with that because firstly we're short of gas. Here's this business about putting a gas-fired power plant in the Hunter Valley. We're short of gas, but to mine for gas is infinitely dearer than, say, mining for coal. So how could you possibly guarantee cheaper electricity out of a gas-fired power plant?
I would hazard to say the difference between you and Malcolm Turnbull is that you still support coal and indeed would support uranium, nuclear.
I do.
But Malcolm would be asking for more solar, more crazy spending batteries on, Snowy 2.0 and probably more wind. So he's not looking for baseload, you're looking for baseload. That will be the difference.
Peter, just to interrupt you and give my viewers a point here. The figures that I took out today about coal, you can mine coal for less than $1.75 a gigajoule. Almost all our gas resources cost more than $6 per gigajoule to extract. That's the argument.
We are embarrassed about our riches. We used them to be. We exploited them and built this wonderful country, the envy of the world, that's given us, up until recently, 30-odd years of uninterrupted economic growth and all of the riches that you can see around our capital cities and our regions and beyond. And we've suddenly become so circumspect. We're happy to export it, but we won't use it here. We say we want manufacturing, but they can't have manufacturing in Australia. Companies cannot manufacture here unless their energy is cheap because their labour costs are high. I mean, I'm sick of the short-termism of government.
So am I.
I really, honestly, there was some good news in that bushfire report tabled on Monday, thinking for the first time, are we going to have some national laws in relation to emergencies?
Yeah, just on the bushfire thing. Are we going to have a national recovery commission? You've been arguing for that. Hallelujah. But that's about the only good news I can find in recent days. Well, let's just take that point. I mean, basically, the report came out on Monday, was released on Monday. But on this bushfire thing, to put it in lingo that everyone understands, the Commonwealth is seeking power in an emergency to overtake the states. Hello? And that's exactly what should be available to a Commonwealth government.
Yeah, and just kind of make a point, you were talking about those polls at the start of the night, those news polls that have a really strong favourability towards Annastacia Palaszczuk and Daniel Andrews for the way they handled this pandemic. What's very interesting when you look at the numbers, they are virtually identical in two states. Now, no one in the country would say that Annastacia Palaszczuk has handled the pandemic in the same way as Daniel Andrews. I think everyone in the country would say Daniel Andrews has done a shocking job. Then why are their numbers exactly the same? Virtually exactly the same across every measure. That's because this is a pandemic poll, not a political poll. And I remember very clearly back in the GFC, Kevin Rudd had 40-year Newspoll highs. His polling was extraordinary. 4 months later, whooshka, he was gone. 2 months later after that, Julia Gillard basically lost the seats in the House. She won the negotiation, but she lost the seats in the House and she was in a hung parliament. So I don't think these polls give us anything more than Stockholm syndrome. This is when the captor puts the captive in a box, in a cage, in a room, locks the door, and suddenly the captive, us in Victoria, ends up falling for the captor in Daniel Andrews. That's a Stockholm syndrome in Victoria. I can't explain it in Queensland.
Good on you. And just one before you go,
No wonder you get into problems down there in Canberra when you were there. You're too smart for them all. Just a quick one. This emergency measures bill, this is unbelievable stuff, isn't it, in Victoria?
Well, I had Stuart Wood on my show tonight. There are 18 former retired judges and also QCs. They say it's unprecedented. They say it's dangerous to democracy. This could be anybody. We don't know who it might be, but
on reasonable suspicion. You can be arrested on reasonable suspicion.
Not for what you've done.
Yep.
So, you know, this cluster in Victoria, 45 infections because all of these families have broken the law that will not be fined because of their ethnicity.
Yes.
So it's not because of what you've done, it's what you might do.
Yep.
And
without a court hearing. Without a court hearing.
Correct. And I mean, these are Labor, lawyers. These are Liberal lawyers. These are lawyers that have broken cover in an extraordinary way. It's been ran through the lower house. It's yet to go through the upper house, but we have seen the dirty deals done on the crossbench. I think everyone needs to be on notice here.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you. Keep doing wonderful
As
work.
Always.
Hope you're well. Hope your mum's well. I know it's hopeless down there, locked up. You
Terrible.
too. There she is, Peta Credlin. Just on that issue, it's very significant. On that emergency services bill, you can be locked up if there's a reasonable suspicion, anyone. And there's no limit to who can be locked up and for how long you can be locked up. It's unbelievable stuff. This is Daniel Andrews.